Hey there, and welcome back to Good Enough Garage. Today we're once again working on the step side. Last time we were able to get it to bark off by dumping some gas down the carburetor, but as far as I knew, that carburetor wasn't clean enough to draw gas from the pump. But this time, we're going to try to fix that. So first things first, I want to show you a design flaw on these trucks. I don't know how well you can see it, but right here, there is a very large pool of water. And when you go to lift the hood up, it does that and goes back between the hood and the cowl and straight onto the starter and distributor. That seems like a good way to have some shorts, but that's just how they were made, I guess. So we're gonna live with it for now. First thing I want to do today is get these hinges all WD-40'd up, because this thing takes a Herculean effort just to lift and get into the engine. So that'll be the first thing we do. Probably way too much. Better too much than not enough. Oh, yeah. Now it's working like it's supposed to. Okay, so now the hood works like it should, which is very helpful. And sorry for all the rooster crows. Our roosters aren't very smart. It's actually the middle of the day and they keep crowing. Those things will crow at the moon if you're not careful, and it's annoying. It is. But anyway, last time I took the carburetor off and I was going to clean it out, all the insides. I learned a little bit more about it, but trying to get it to split, I didn't want to ruin the gaskets because I don't have a gasket kit. And if I wanted to order a gasket kit, it was just going to take too long. And I wanted to get more content out quicker. So instead, I just took needle and seat out, made sure that those were clean, and went through, just sprayed some card cleaner down the orifices and stuff. And that seemed to get it to work good enough to probably get this thing started. Eventually I will rebuild this carburetor if we keep this carburetor, because I mean, I prefer 4 barrels, especially on V8s, but you gotta take what you can get. So I'm gonna get that bolted back on, all of the vacuum hoses back on there, probably get some gas and see if it will go through the pump. I think that's a good next step. All right, so we got that all bolted on. I want to show you guys just something that might be useful. I'm sure you probably already know, but we'll see. So as far as these vacuum ports, there's one here, and a few on the back, and then usually there's ones on the manifold, like that would be one normally, and then there's this one here. So to get your engine to run, you really only need one of them, and that is for the vacuum advance on the distributor. It goes from this canister to a ported vacuum port on your carburetor. In this case, it's this one here. Let's get you guys back there better. So you need that one to be hooked up for it to run halfway properly, or properly usually, at least on these older rigs. And then all the other ones can be plugged off. If you have this This is like a uses vacuum to actuate the choke. So when the engine's running, it actually opens the choke a little bit. So that one you should probably hook up if you got it. Which I have my tubes mixed up. So that one actually goes here. All right, so that's this one actually. This one is the Vacuum Advance, which pull a little bit. Try not to mess with the distributor too much. And this one, I found it going here, right here. Whether that's correct, we'll figure that out. But really, that's all you need. And then this one here is for vacuum brakes if you got them. That one usually goes to manifold vacuum, not carburetor vacuum. And then your PCV valve, which is this here, goes right into the top of the intake. That one usually does go to a carburetor, one on the carburetor. And then all the other ones can be plugged if you don't have anything that needs them, or if you're just trying to get your engine to, make sure that it starts actually. So that's a little tip for you guys. It's probably pretty useless. I'm sure most of you guys know a thing or two about a thing or two. But I'm going to get that carburetor hooked up the rest of the way. Get this fuel line hooked up to there. That goes down into a rubber line. I doubt that that's flared or anything. Same with down here. That goes down into the fuel pump. And then I'm going to run another fuel line out of the fuel pump and down into a jug, because I am not too sure about this tank. This one I'm pretty sure has a plastic tank, actually. It's hard to see, but that might be a plastic tank. I'm gonna have to kind of figure that out. If it is a plastic tank, then that's nice, because then it makes it so there's probably not much rust in there. I might try dumping a little bit of gas in there just to see what happens. I think mostly I'm just going to try to get it to run off a jug for now. So let me get that hooked up, and then I'll show you what I did. All right, so let me show you what I did here. So I've not hooked it up to the actual carburetor yet. I did that so I can see if the pump is actually pumping like it should. Down here I have this, it's just a cheap filter. It's probably, I'm sure the seals are probably bad on it, but it'll be enough to see if it will actually run to an extent. So I have that coming from the pump up and out, and then into this oil jug here where I cut a hole in the lid. There's about a half gallon of gas in there. Mostly just to see if it'll pump, because I don't want to pour anything in the tank in case it is dirty. That wouldn't be too... I wouldn't want to have to mess with that right now. So I'm going to get the battery hooked up. We're going to see if this thing actually pumps. And if it does, I'll hook it up to the carburetor, and then maybe we can actually hear this thing run properly. Yeah, let's hope. All right, so what we're looking for is we're going to be looking for gas coming out of here. I'm going to crank it a few times, see if we get anything out of it. If not, then I might need to prime the pump. If these pumps sit around for a while empty, then the diaphragms dry out a little bit, and then it's helpful if you just dump some gas, like backfeed it. So dump gas down here so it gets, or you can dump gas that way too if you really need to. But we're just gonna see if this does anything. Let's see. All right, nothing there. Seems like there's some, I don't know if it's smoke or steam coming from down there. I think it's just steam. Hopefully. You know? Still a little bit more. Yeah, nothing. All right, so we're gonna try to get some fuel actually in there. Perfect world, it'd be just go like this. Get some gas to go down in there. Make a mess everywhere. All right. Oh yeah, that's just pouring right out, I think. Or it might be just going along that. All right, let's try that again and see if we get anything this time around. Nothing. All right, so either the pump's not pumping or there's some sort of clog in the line. It's going all the way through the air. It might just be dry, like I was saying. Try it again. I'm gonna need to put this battery on the charger. It's starting to run a bit low on juice. Still nothing. And yeah, that is steam, I'm pretty sure. The starter's getting hot, and there's that water I mentioned earlier that just drips down there right onto it. So I guess hook this thing up to the. It's just not wanting to pull at all. Could be because it shouldn't be that. Could just be a bad pump. Try to get it to. I don't know. I could hook up the ignition and try to get it to kick off, and maybe the extra engine speed will help. Okay, well, I think that might just be a bad pump. I can't get any sort of gas to come out this end unless I blow all the way from this end through. Which a bad pump was my first guess when I tinkered with this last year. So I'm not necessarily surprised. All right, welcome back. Obviously, it's been a little while. It's kind of cold, snowy, rain-snow mix. Not the greatest weather, but I did get the new fuel pump for it, and that is what we're going to put on right now. All right, so the fuel pump is right down here, and the bolts for it are right on top of it. It's kind of hard to see. Right there. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take that there alternator off, just to make my life a little bit easier. It's 2 bolts, I do believe. This one here, and this one here. And then I'm not going to worry about the wiring. I'm just going to put it there. That should make getting to it a little bit easier. All right, so this bolt here is 9/16, and then the smaller one is 1/2 inch. We will get those 2 off, and I should, as long as these bolts don't break, wrong way. Nice. Make getting this fuel pump off a lot easier, a lot more working room. Which I guess I should probably loosen the other one. Get some tension off that belt. I don't think there's much there to begin with, but oops. I'll buff out. Alright. belt is just falling apart. Yeah, that'll definitely need a new belt, but that will come later. Actually, I wonder, I might have a belt for it. I'll have to look. Another one of my project cars. This pulls sides right out. Let's not lose this spacer. That. This. Oh, that's gone forever. Oh, it's right there. Never mind. All right, now that that's off, it'll make it a whole lot easier to get to that there. Let's get some brake clean in there. Clean that off a little bit. This fuel line, I think, yeah, I already loosened this up because I was kind of just messing with it. Go up there, and then those look like 1/2 inch. Oh, I was wrong. Yep, 9/16. Close, but not close enough. All right. Oh, that one was just finger tight. I did not loosen that one. Interesting. This one's a bit more snug. There's one. And the other. And the really long arm. The gasket's kind of chewed up a little bit too. Gasket wasn't put on right. Or something. Maybe reused the other half of that gasket. This big old top piece is missing. It's all ripped down the sides. Who knows? Maybe they knew that the fuel pump was bad. They just didn't bother putting the new gasket on. Sounds like he's making noise. Here's the new pump. Then we're getting dirty. Clean up that that mating surface a little bit more. Junk on there. All right, so I got that all cleaned up, and I am going to put some Permatex number 2 on there, on the gasket itself. Because I don't know how well you can tell, but there are some imperfections, like that big old dimple at the top there. And the Permatex, all it's going to do is just seal those imperfections, and I won't have to worry about oil leaking out. All right, so all I'm going to do with this Permatex here is I'm going to take a little tiny bit. You don't need a lot, and a little bit goes a bit of a ways. So all you're going to do is go like that. Make sure I get the cap back on this. We'll need more, but just for, all you're going to do is just smear it around the gasket. So you're going to want to do this on both sides of the gasket. It's just mostly going to help with any imperfections that there are on the block. Well, I guess not the block on these, but the timing cover. So that's what these mount to. And any that are on the pump. It'll just keep you from getting any leaks of any sort. Any weeping. Anything like that. This is pretty messy, and you're going to want to wear gloves. I just have these cheap Harbor Freight blue gloves. I mean, anything to keep this off your bare skin. And in the cold, this stuff, it gets kind of hard and tacky really quick. So just be mindful of that. You want it to be a little bit tacky so it'll actually stick to the pump when you're trying to mount it. That way you don't want it moving on you and kind of getting in the way of slipping down and all that. So once you have the one side coated, take your pump, and then this side's going to go on the pump first, just to make it a little bit easier. You want to make sure that the holes are all lined up. Sometimes you can let this stuff sit a little longer, not a whole long, just like 2 minutes at most probably. Get that all kind of tacky on there. That way, when you go to put Permatex on this side, it doesn't get all, because it's going to get on your glove, it's going to stick. When you put your finger down, it's going to try to pull it up. So I'm just going to go like that. I'll get this side all gooped up. Remember, not too much, just a little tiny bit, enough to let it seal. Some people will say that you don't have to use goop like this on Mopar fuel pumps. I do, just to be safe. I don't want any leaks, and I don't want to have to redo the job. And on situations like this where there is a pretty bad blemish on the timing cover, that little dimple I showed you, I do prefer to use this just to get that sealed up properly, because it does need it. From the factory, they just did these dry. And I mean, you can do it that way if you really want to. If you don't have Permatex and you're in a pickle, you really need to, you can. I'm not saying you can't. All right, that's all Permatexed up. There's a little bit more. Let's see. So right here is where I'm going to want to make sure that there is for sure Permatex, because that's where the that dimple is. So now what I'll do is I'll just try to get this in there, and you want to get this arm. You want to make sure that it's riding on the camshaft. So you're going to feel it. It's not going to want to go into place. It'll be kind of pushing against you. That's how you know it's where it should be. So what you can do is you thread one side in, so where it's kind of at an angle, and then you can kind of use that as a pivot point to pivot the other side up and into where it needs to be. Use that pivot point with some leverage to get it to ride where it should. It's a bit of a tight squeeze in here. Doing this how I am. Drop it. I almost need a gear wrench rather. So what I was saying was, you can try to get just this, either the right or left side started, get it in there kind of at an angle, but you're going to feel it and it's not going to want to seat properly too well. That's how you know it's kind of where it needs to be. As you can see, it's giving me problems by not wanting to seat properly. Even with the so you can see how that springs back. You can push it down and it wants to spring back just a little bit. That's because that camshaft lobe is pressing against it. And the easiest way is just to kind of get, because you want the camshaft to ride on top of that arm. I will show you on this one. You can see where it's bare right there. That's where the camshaft lobe rides. And basically just presses this whole thing, presses that whole arm down, bringing the diaphragm in this up, creating a suction. So that's how you want that. So you can kind of, when you go to put it in, you can get it down low, kind of, and then up and in. And as you've seen with this one, that it does want to spring back up. But I do need a different wrench because this, as you can see, this replacement pump doesn't, this right here is a little too wide for the socket. Oh, just barely. Yeah. I wonder if maybe the extensions fit past that. Barely. But enough to be able to get these to thread in how they should. Let's hope this works, because I don't really know what I'm doing half the time. That is not a very tight thread at all. That just, half the time that thing just finger tight. What that is from, worn out threads, I guess. Because like compared to this one's a whole lot stiffer. You need the wrench half the time, or most of the time. All right. Very, very slowly. You want to kind of, once you get to a certain point where it's starting to seat, you want to do these at an even amount on each side. In on one side, and then in on the other, back and forth, just to get that gasket to seat properly. That way it's not kind of off. Yeah, this bolt does not want to tighten. Maybe now it's not too now. Do this side. It's about the same. Go back. Down. All right. don't want to do these too tight. I don't know the exact torque spec, but I guess maybe I could look it up just to be proper, but nothing about this truck's proper. Torque spec is 30 foot-pounds. I cannot get a straight answer on how much they should be. I know they a lot of them say to use Loctite, but I don't have blue Loctite. I have red Loctite, and red Loctite is the permanent stuff, and I don't want this to be permanent. So we're gonna just do this and hope for the best. Oh, there's zero room to work in here. I need a small torque wrench. We're gonna tighten that one up a bit, then do this one, just one knot. That's 30 right there. 30. Double click on that one. Right. Now that should be installed, hopefully. I'm sure that the Loctite thing will be just fine. Okay, so now that should be on properly now. Let's get this. I think it's the right one. Yeah. We're just gonna say it's the right one. My big head is in the way of the camera, I am sure. Oh, come on. Okay. Get this on there and tighten down. Alright, so now I got that fuel pump all hooked up and all the fittings, and hopefully that will not leak. Or else I'll be doing it again, which does not sound too fun. Alright, so the alternator is going to go back on. Let's see. It's kind of a twirl like that. Just to this one. Alright, so what we'll do is we will get the long bolt from that. This goes on just a little bit. Then it goes on this small spacer. And I didn't put the bolt in the right way because why would I? Like that. Maybe. I think it's heavy after a while. Maybe it would be easier to do this to the bottom first to kind of get the. That way I can have something to pivot on. Okay, so after fighting with this for way longer than I should have, I finally got that on. I wanted to show you this. Just look how much crud is built up on this little spacer. I mean, this thing must have leaked oil or something for it to be that bad. I am going to clean that off. All right, much cleaner. So now, this goes between here and here. Make sure that we get lined up correctly. Let's kick it out just a little bit. My wrench. Get this on there the rest of the way. About there. Try to get this belt snaked back on. For, well, yeah, just for now. We'll change that out when we get a chance. So 1/2 inch down here. Right about there. Okay. This wire is the one that came off. Looks like it's just a field wire. Of course, it's different wiring than all the rest of the truck. All right, so now everything's back hooked up how it was, I'm pretty sure. I still have this disconnected so we can see if any fuel comes out, but I'm mostly going to be watching the filter from over here. Got the battery hooked up, so now let's crank and see if anything happens. You guys can't see it, but if we go over here, well, now it kind of went away, but there is fuel in the filter. A little bit more cranking and it will hopefully come out worse. Let's go. Way too much. Wow. All right. Make sure that the fuel system, which is just an oil jug and old fuel line, is all hooked up. Make sure the Sparky here is hooked up. Then we'll see if this will fire off. So you can see I made a mess with gas. Let me hook that up really quick. And then, as you can see, the pump works, which is good. That was a lot of gas. I did not mean for it to. I didn't think it would. We were close with the cranking with the starter. I know that much at least. Oh, God. All right, tight. If it would give me my wrench back. Oh, come on. There we go. Now we know that it does indeed do that. So let's see if it will actually run now. All right, let's hope we don't start a fire, and let's see if this does its thing. It's trying. It's getting fuel into the bowls, I think. Yeah. That will kind of help her out. I doubt that any of the screws are where they should be. Seems like wants to. There is fuel in the bowls. I can hear it with the accelerator pump. For some reason, it does not want to fire. I'm questioning if you can see. Well, I'm sure that having the choke closed would be helpful because it is pretty cold and this thing hasn't run in who knows how long. And if I hook the ignition back up, that would also be helpful. It wants to. I don't know. I had that carburetor working. I just filled the bowls on the carburetor because maybe it's just not. I don't know. I filled the bowl using a piece of fuel line up into a funnel. I'm questioning if maybe the floats are stuck. They shouldn't be, but I guess we'll see. Idling very, very low. Let's see if it's probably the mixture too. I'm questioning if this carburetor's ever ran on this truck. Well, there was that. I might be deaf in the right ear now. In both ears. But it did run. And I don't know if that was pulling from the tank or not. It's running pretty rough. Almost like it's idled down too low. Which could just be one of these screws need adjusted. I'm sure a whole lot of stuff needs adjusted in general. That was that. Doesn't sound too terrible, but I mean, like this one's just that's loose. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's not even tight. That's just seems to be a pretty common trend with this truck. Is a lot of things just aren't tight. That might be my doing. Because this does have a brand new starter on it that I put on last year. That one's either not tight at all or broken. Nope, just not tight at all. That might save my ears just a little bit. But it does run when you fill the bowls. The question is if it's pulling or not. There's still a full accelerator pump spray. I don't know if you can hear it. I can try starting it again and just letting it run, do its thing. I mean, the idle's just super low. That's my thing. That's the only thing I'm wondering about. And I don't know if that, I mean, that could just be a screw. I don't know if it also sounds like it's missing. Hear that knocking? Almost? Oh, it's just an exhaust leak, never mind. It's like it's starving. Smoking a bit. Doesn't sound too bad back here, but missing. Glass pack. Dented one. Still glass pack nonetheless though.
The exhaust leak sounds like it has a knock almost, or it makes it sound like it has a knock. But when you're up here, you can tell it doesn't. It's got to be pulling fuel. There's no way it'd be running this long after just what was in the... What if it's an exhaust or a vacuum leak? You hear that? Doesn't seem like it. It does idle though. I think it definitely has a miss. When you go and you try to rev it up, well, some sort of fueling issue too, maybe. When you rev it up, it does almost start to sound like it is missing on a cylinder or two. I mean, our hodgepodge of plug wires probably doesn't help. That shouldn't be resting on there. Let me grab some water and we'll see if... Or actually, I have a handy dandy thermometer I'll use. This probably isn't the best way to do things, but it might work. You can hardly see that screen. That one's only at 99. These two are together, so it's going to read a little bit higher. 120. Let's see, yeah, you guys cannot see that. 127, 129, 132 over there. And that back one is only at 82, 86. Seems pretty cold still. Like it's just, oh wow, 181, 265. Like the whole side is really low on as far as temperature goes. I do know, I mean, obviously you have these two crappy, you know, the odd ones, the odd wires out are on that one. A little bit better now. Didn't even think about it, but timing obviously is kind of a part of it. It revs now. I think it's just the timing's a little off, so I'll need to get the light on it, and then probably the carburetor's gonna need a little bit of a adjustment. So why I didn't think of timing, I don't know. Just, you know, just didn't think about it. But I do have this timing light. This one's really handy. It's actually wireless. You don't need to hook it up to the battery. It's got its own internal battery, rechargeable with a USB-C. I don't know where you get it. Amazon or something. Kaizi or nope. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. Yeah, don't ask me. But what I'm going to do is get this set up. I already got the wire on number 1. Get this pointed down there. Then start it, or try to. This is going to be hard one-handed. Sorry for the lack of not being able to see. Just kind of tight quarters, and I don't know if this is even going to turn out very well. But put this up and not try to shock ourselves. Like that. Our timing lights. Set the timing. about there. It's where it wants, I think. I'm gonna need to get back there and tighten up that bolt and all that, and then it should be working pretty good. I think the rad might be working. Needs more water if I remember correctly. There we go. It's actually running. Maybe not moving yet. But it does idle. And when it revs, it sounds pretty good. It doesn't sound like there's any miss or anything. I think it's just the idle's probably set a little low. I desperately need to get this set up into a switch on the dashboard. But that will be future. Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. I am very happy that has started. Next, we'll try to see if it moves, and then we need to clean out that tank, which should be a plastic tank. Should be a plastic tank in the back. Like, here, I can show you. I do believe it's similar to this tank, which is on my 89 Ram. Obviously, sending unit will be different, but this is plastic, which I like plastic tanks because they don't rust. So hopefully, this has something similar. I do want to see if this moves, but might be better to top up on some fluids and stuff. Maybe I'll just make you guys wait till next video. Yeah, because the choke doesn't work in here. I don't even know if the clutch works, so I'll play around with that. But it does run. Well, you couldn't see it because the camera messed up, but it moved. It was right here, this dry spot. I got to move back before it died. I'm guessing I just got to get that timing figured out. The clutch feels healthy. I did not test brakes. I don't think there's brakes. Probably shouldn't have tried to drive it without brakes. But this thing has a lot of potential. I think we are just one step closer to getting this thing on the road. I have brake parts coming, so the front brakes will no longer be broken. I just need new rims because these rims interfere with said brakes. But yes, it did move and is now here instead of there. The battery died. I'm pretty sure that's why, or just lost so much charge that it won't. Yeah, I didn't want to fire anymore with the the strain I put on it with the clutch and all that. But it does move. It does run. That alternator might not be charging. I will check that next time I get this thing running. And you'll see that in the next episode of Good Enough Garage.